Leonard, my wife just told me, she's like, hey, whatever you do, no cowbell. I'm like, yes, ma'am.
No way, dude.
Yeah, true story. Just happened. I'm like, yes, ma'am, no cowbell.
That was
Welcome
horrible.
to the jungle. No, it's not that one.
Oh, anyways, we gotta get on here. So, hey, welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. What are we going to be talking about today?
So actually, today I was watching an interesting video by a good friend, Swedish Adam. He was the founder of Contiki, one of the creators of Contiki operating system. And actually, the video it's called I don't know, I don't remember how is it called, about the don't trust the IoT standards. But he had a slide that was really interesting about he called it the complexity of the IoT. How IoT is super complex for several reasons. Because of the different use cases. It has hardware and software together at the same time. It has to be low power. The scale is complicated. You need different profiles of expertise on a project.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we can disagree long time here. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, what's the ongoing joke about having standards? There are so many to choose from. Whose standards, which standards? I mean, that's a rabbit hole right there. I would agree that there's some complexity to it. If we get into battery and power consumption of the device, and do you engage in that part of the project, super early, or you try to figure out later? I think battery expectations and communications expectations are two of the most complex one from an engineering perspective, but because a lot of people try to figure out this IoT project and leave battery and communications as step 72 instead of step 1. So I don't know, do we create the complexity by not having too much knowledge in that domain, or is there really a complexity?
Well,
which one is it?
David, you brought up standard, but is a standard really a standard if it's not a standard? Think about
Not
that
really.
for a moment.
Standards increment the complexity.
Yeah. Well, the thing is here's the thing that I think is a problem in the IoT community or industry, is that we assume, or we're being told, that it's complex. And oftentimes when I hear folks say that, hey, IoT is so complex, I question what sort of lens were you actually using in making that assessment. Because if you really think about it, for any individual end user, it's really not all that complex, and maybe the problem that they're trying to solve is not all that complex either. So going back to the stuff that Rob Tiffany always talks about is, keep it simple. Try to solve the thing that's going to solve 80% of your problems, and then maybe defer the 20% that's just ridiculously complex, or that gets exponentially more difficult to implement. And so a lot of the value is realized through simple solutions. So where does it all? Why is it so complex? And then the other thing that I notice is everyone assumes that IoT is wireless, but that's not true. Everyone assumes that IoT is low power, but that's not true either. If you go into the context of a smart factory, there's crap tons of power in a factory. If your goal is to reduce the power consumption profile and power efficiency of your smart factory, then okay, yeah, you might start to introduce some constraints for yourself, like a more constrained power budget for things. But that's not. These things are not true. So I'm just throwing that out there as a challenge, and hopefully your buddy won't kick my ass for saying these things. But I just want to disagree.
No, I disagree as well. I don't think IoT is complex. I think that we have great technologies and solutions that are available right now. And I think the complexity comes in organizing the partners and vendors that are getting involved when you start to scale, because you do require more than one vendor in many cases. I mean, there are vendors out there that will say we're a one stop shop. And that's always hard to believe, because you can be a one-stop shop when you're in test mode. You're doing very small projects, one-off projects, but these greenfield projects. But when you start to scale, that's when, the software vendors, the hardware vendors, they're all having to work together. That's the complexity, is everyone has their own goals, and who's the point person with the customer and understands those customers? Is it more than one vendor, more than one company? That's where the complexity comes in, because organizations, the people problem is the complexity. I don't necessarily think that the technology is a complexity. Maybe the people.
Complexity.
The people problem.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking that complexity is also domain expertise, because a lot of these IoT solutions, right, can solve a great business case. They're going to be quickly adopted, but at some point, after pilot purgatory period is over, some of these things do need to be integrated into a system of record, into some sort of backend system. And that could be complex if the vendor in this particular scenario is not familiar with what this ERP, MES, right, CRM backend system is. So, that could be complex. And then back to the standards. Maybe there are no standards, Leonard, but we have consortiums that 3GPP has standards. OPC UA has standards. IEEE has standards. It's just that. So is it standards or interoperability that's the complex thing then? I mean, if my standards don't work, if my standards keep doing this, it's just that we don't work together. Well, my standards are great if you belong to this box here.
Middleware. I think now we're starting to see this ORAN stuff, and everyone making a big deal out of interoperability, and legacy stuff will always at some point talk to the new stuff, and it's going to talk to all that new stuff with middleware. So, and there's always been middleware companies. There's going to be, a lot of the old ones are rebranding themselves, or they're being acquired by other larger, software firms. MuleSoft is a perfect example, getting acquired by Salesforce.com. But there's going to be these new breeds that come out, and so I think interoperability is something good to shoot for. But as an architect and someone who's trying to solve a problem today, I think integration is always going to be an issue. And going back to Stephanie, what you were talking about having this one-stop shop, or having a single throat to choke. You can choke the middleware guys' throats if you want, and this SI, because there's always going to be an SI, right? I don't think there's a single vendor that's going to come to the table with a solution that works perfectly for you. And I think that's the big dilemma for the big guys. They're trying to figure out how to scale IoT. Well, scaling IoT, and the big scaling problem is a service provider's issue. It's not an end user's issue. An end user can care less about whether or not AWS or Azure IoT can scale. It's like, just give me a friggin' cheap ass price, and then good quality of service and stuff that I can use to easily assemble my solution. I can care less about whether or not you can scale this crap. That's really what, or Verizon or whoever. I'm channeling Rob Tiffany. Rob, I'm here for you, bro.
Robbie One Kenobi.
You need.
I'm unhinged.
The scale one is a funny, because if whether you want to think of the CSP, whether you want to think of the telco, and even the application environment, none of these things, very few of these things from the serious trusted brands make it to market without a lot of scalability testing. And here's just to stick to, I'm recording. My kids just gave me a little heart, so I couldn't. Sorry, I never interrupt these, but they know how to get to me, because they have cognitive intelligence, unlike some of these dumb IoT devices in my house. Anyway, So, I think
don't even get started, man. Don't even get started.
I think nowadays scalability isn't simply an issue. I think if you're the company that you think you're going to need, an order of magnitude of devices to solve whatever it is that you're trying to solve for, the infrastructure is responding. I mean, there's so many advances, on the infrastructure side, on the networking side, so many things getting virtualized that, it's, and this might be lack of information, but it's been a while since I was involved in the last chat of saying X failed because the infrastructure failed to scale. Outage, yes, we've had, I know there's, cloud providers had one recently here in the US, but that wasn't a scalability issue. So I call BS on scalability if it's properly architected. That's not an issue.
It's not a technological problem, IoT. It's not rocket science, right? It's mostly, and I don't think it's a people's problem as it was said before here. I think it's more a business problem. I always say the same. So I think we have to solve the business models first, and then technology. It's not a problem because I don't think IoT nowadays it's a rocket science.
So. Then Marc, so should vendors refuse to lead to start an IoT project discussion without a paid assessment, without making sure that there's value here because the customer has skin in the game? Hey, let's do a paid assessment of X thousand, and if it goes, we'll give you the money back. Should that be it? Should vendors press more? Yesterday there's I'll do a plug. There's a phenomenal system integrator by the name of Walker Reynolds, based in Texas, industrial IoT guy, and he posted yesterday that or 2 days ago that he was having a conversation with a prospect and talking about factory automation, digital transformation. And when the seller Walker explained that we're going to need to plug into the OT system, and the customer says, no, you cannot do that. And he's like, well, we have to, otherwise you are throwing money away. And surprisingly, the conversation continued right now. So should vendors do more of that? Paid assessments, because I want to know that you're serious and that you have a business case and that this is aligned with your strategy, or push because I don't want to be the brand known by, hey, who's got the more pilots in the globe?
Well, yeah, that's complicated to answer. It depends on the company, etc. Today I was on a call actually with an old friend, and he was explaining me that he's on the IoT platform. Hi, Stephanie. A scenario, and he was explaining that they are pursuing an opportunity, and the other vendor is telling to the company, like, hey guys, I'm gonna hire a couple of developers and this can be done with AWS. And it's like, yeah, so it's way cheaper.
Sounds easy too.
Exactly. Like, so my answer was actually, guys, so the problem is that maybe these opportunities, so they are not your target, right? So the problem is find the right target, no, not fight for this customer. So invest time, not with this potential customer, not with this lead, but finding the right target who wants to pay for your added value, not with each lead. So I didn't answer your question, but it depends. It depends if it's really your target or not. They will pay probably for.
No. I agree with that assessment because there are, again, there's enough solutions out there there's a lot of business problems that exist that have been properly addressed elsewhere that with very little fine tuning could then purpose fit this new environment and with evidence. So yeah, and if it fits, the client is going to see that yes, this makes total sense. Let's just go. Where do I sign?
Exactly. That reduces the complexity, right? Sorry, Leonard.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, I mean, one of the reasons why we're largely POC hell or purgatory is all this free crap that people are just throwing out there, right? Doing POCs for free, getting end users or customers basically engaging in a non-committal way, in an exploratory way, where really what you should be doing is driving a discipline around getting to some kind of value proposition or understanding, and that should be a paid engagement. And the thing is that both sides get lazy, and then what ends up happening in many cases is that it becomes a free education process, but it's so high level, and the expectations are typically set so badly, I guess that's the only word I can really think of, that these POCs end up becoming complete political nightmares for whoever the original stakeholder was in the end user organization. I mean, it just ends up becoming a cluster, what. And that's why we have this purgatory that you see a lot of end users falling into with IoT. And then, there's just a ton of people going around saying IoT this and that just really don't have their game on. And they shouldn't be leading a lot of these things, these POC initiatives or explorations, and they should be paid. The end users should do their homework, do their friggin' homework. Don't expect to get free stuff and get some joker coming in with highly inflated value propositions and ridiculous notions of what IoT is, and coming in with a lack of understanding what your business is, and maybe possibly not even with a consulting background to be able to surface what your requirements and what would be valuable for your company it is. You go and you take that approach, it's friggin' disastrous. What do you expect? I mean, we used to see this stuff in ERP and CRM back in the day, and we had disastrous implementations, troubled ERP. I mean, you want to talk about complex systems. ERPs are complex systems. Even in today's standard with all this IoT stuff, IoT actually from a process and a perspective is really not that complicated compared to trying to put together a business system that's the foundation for an enterprise, a global enterprise. You want to talk about complex, that's complex.
I hope someone in the community that's listened to this, I am not aware. I've never been involved in a successful IoT project that begun with a free, no paperwork involved, just like, hey, look, we've got this, try it. I participated in a few, nothing ever came out of them. So, now I'm curious though, because, the approaches are different, but I've never seen this work. If there's no skin in the game, if it's not politically aligned, these widgets, because, we can track them, man, they're in your desk. Yeah. You haven't taken them to, to the field or anywhere else we talked about. What's going on?
But David, the only time I got forced to work on a free POC, I was forced by a telco. I won't say the name here, but they forced me because, hey guys, we are giving Cisco routers for free to these guys to test the technology before they buy thousands of them. So we were like kind of peer pressure forced to do like a POC kind of free, because we give a couple of devices only and the service. But that's we were kind of peer pressured by a telco. But on the other hand, on POCs, there is I have been working with companies, so it's the opposite situation where we wanted a POC, but we were forced to pay like 100,000 euros to get a license of ThingWorks, plus a certification with a developer that it was like, I don't know how many $1,000 per hour, and so on and so on. So there is of course shouldn't be free, and I haven't seen any successful IoT project with free POC. But on the other hand, there are companies that are getting into too much.
Wait, where that might work, and welcome Rob to the party. We're talking about giving stuff for free and seeing no returns.
I went unhinged, dude. Inspired by Rob Tiffany.
That was last week.
Is that like free apps on the iPhone that go nowhere?
Example.
Yeah.
But you know, Mark, where it might work. So I have worked with companies that, as part of their purchasing, their buying culture, you know, they have, you know, limited partners, limited vendor suppliers that they trust. And the way they purchase is, we think we need X, we want you to fund this, and then we'll buy. But that's also like, call it a POC. But I think those only work if that's how the company effectively buys, not the other way around. If you don't have a company that does that, you know, giving stuff for free is just that, giving stuff for free, you know, just here you go. If people have extra money nowadays, we have a really good social cause called Elevator Kids that you can throw money to all day.
There you go. Welcome, bro.
Rob, what are you giving for free today, Rob?
Free POCs. What are your thoughts?
I was just dropping some free love. I was just doing a panel discussion with an event called Capacity Europe, where we were talking about, will IoT find its feet in the age of 5G? So had a nice panel, folks from UK, Singapore, Dubai, definitely a good group. I always find it interesting, though, the notion that some kind of wireless technology is going to help 5G. But you never know.
You mean IoT or?
IoT, yeah. It's 5G.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
you hear lots of people.
It's full on wireless, bro. Or
no, I know, but I mean, you hear people saying, is 5G going to unlock IoT, finally, break the chains, whatever.
It's blockchain, right?
Yes. It's going to break the blockchain of love. Anyway, yeah.
Actually, let me take that back. In select scenarios, it will create new possibilities like any other technology, you know?
Sure.
I mean, it's a good thing. It's not knocking 5G. 5G has its purposes, and it's just you have to have paid POCs with people who know what they're talking about, working with you to figure out, well, what's that value for your particular use case or your scenario and your business.
You know, one thing that we have or will have, depending where you live in the world, that we will have with 5G in context of IoT, that we didn't have with LTE and the other OGs, is the private deployments. So again, public info. So, you know, my friends at Verizon and Rob's friends are Ericsson and Nokia. You know, there's been lots of things in the news in the last 36 hours about private 5G deployments in single sites. Pick a factory, pick a campus. And because we have this dedicated infrastructure, and for IoT and industrial IoT, we didn't have that in the LTE days. You know, LTE IoT was always, hey, it's on a public network. So I think, to your point, Leonard, of things that is going to truly unlock, if we want to use, chain breaking terminology here, it will unlock faster POCs, faster testing within an environment. Because, hey, if it's my infrastructure, it's private, it's off the public network, and I got full control and management of this thing, which checks a lot of boxes that you just cannot do on public infrastructure. So that's a good 5G point for IoT.
You guys are talking about paid POCs versus free POCs and other stuff like that.
Yeah. And why? And our hypothesis that the free stuff just contributes to the POC purgatory and hell and Hades and hellfire.
So many companies, so many small businesses who are in the IoT game are struggling to get business. And sometimes they have that level of desperation where you're right, they'll go do a free POC because they're like, well, let's give it a try. And I totally get it. and it's not a good thing. People should be paying for that stuff. I remember, Leonard and I, when we were at IoT Solutions World Congress, I don't know, a couple of Octobers ago. Remember when we talked to the folks from Relayer?
Yep.
And their solution to this problem, or part of a solution at least, was the use of insurance. The notion that we are going to have an insurance policy on this project that we're doing. Now, obviously, they're using insurance for other things too, but they also used it for the IoT project that you're going to do. And so they had the level of confidence that, hey, we know our stuff works, our shit works, and we know that we're going to be able to save you this much money and all that kind of stuff, whatever the scenario is. And so that to put their money where their mouth is, they said, yeah, we have an insurance policy on this whole project worth whatever, could be millions of dollars. And if we fail and we don't deliver what we said, the ROI and everything, the insurance policy pays to you, customer. I thought that was really clever.
Who's the insurance company? Who's the insurance company so that we send people that way?
Actually, the insurance company acquired the company.
German company.
Yeah, Munich Re. yeah. But you know what? It worked. I thought it was. I'm always looking for clever. It's a clever business model.
Yes.
Because I think they were facing the same thing that a lot of us have faced, and so they're like, "Gosh, how do we break through this problem?"
Yeah, it goes back to what I think I brought this up a few episodes ago. No one gives a crap about predictive maintenance. What they'll care about is maybe an extended warranty service or an enhanced warranty service. But you assume the risk, and you use predictive maintenance in some way to provide a better, familiar service. And I think I think Marc, it might be you who brought up the fact that how challenging it is to sell predictive maintenance, because you're basically saying trust our data, our algorithm, and oh, by the way, replace your unit now because it's broken when it's still working. The
elevator.
But somehow your algorithm is detecting some anomaly that may suggest with 80% or maybe 50% accuracy that your asset might break down in anywhere between 1 year and 10 years. I mean, that's a tough sell.
But another, changing the topic, getting into Rob's comment, I don't think that companies don't have the money to pay the POCs. So I'm sure that 100%, 99% of the companies who need an IoT solution have the money to pay the POC. So it's not so I think the insurance thing was for the full project, not for the POC.
You're right. It's the full project. You're right.
Okay. But another thing that I know we've mentioned might have been me or I don't know, but in terms of return on investment, that the onus of the project success could be on the IoT vendor, on the provider, but the proceeds of if successful are for the customer, which is good. I mean, look, you're a vendor, you're serving the customer. That's how it should work. But I'm surprised that, we don't see more, I don't know, I'm going to call it risk share, revenue share. So if I go into your industrial facility and you've got 1 million square feet of machines and I cut, I don't know, let's just go with power. I helped you save 3% of your annual electricity. And if I do that, I want, 1.5 points back. Like that's how I'm going to get paid. And we don't see many of those because of the commercial liability that could entail a startup or even a large company to be able to say, because if I don't meet this, what does that mean? So then is the insurance example the best way? I think there's clever ways to look at it, and maybe more shared risk is needed.
Well, no, on that, I see a lot of business models on that, on the smart buildings and so on, HVAC things, etc. I see a lot of projects going on that model of revenue share when you don't reach a specific threshold, you split the profit. I have seen a lot of projects on that scenario. So that's a business model that works.
Okay.
Actually, on IoT, on a smart buildings management and HVAC and things like that.
Okay, hey guys, I got a jam here. I'm out. Not only am I out of coffee, I have like a crap ton of things to do. So that was a good chat, right?
Yeah. So
Don't worry about the audience that you're selling down the river because you got stuff to do. I get it. That's fine.
Okay, so press the like button, share. Thanks
Rev share
for listening, huh? Ride share.
Rev share, whatever.
Rev share, whatever. And follow us at www.iotcoffeetalk.com. And we will see you next week with another great topic. I think, Marc, you had a wonderful list of topics, and we're just going to go down those, and maybe we'll post it on our LinkedIn page. So next
let's
time.
have audience to choose what's next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we could do that. We can do it, right? So anyways, take care, guys.
Bye. Have a good week.
Stay safe. Peace out.
We're out.